I'd like to call the meeting to order. And first of all, we'll have our presentation of the flags. Okay, we'll have our opening comments by Superintendent Jrotc.
Thank you, President Morrison. Good evening. Summer is a great time for students to sharpen their reading skills and enjoy a good book. LPSS has partnered with the Lafayette Public Library to have the Bookmobile make stops at some of our schools this summer, allowing easy access to literature without having to travel a great distance. The remaining 3 dates are 4:00 p.m. on July 12th at Lafayette High School, 2:30 p.m. on July 14th at Austin Elementary, and 9:30 a.m. on July 19th at Alice Boucher Elementary. The 23rd Annual Superintendent Scholarship Golf Tournament was held on Friday, June 18th. I am proud to announce that we had a record-breaking year and raised over $43,000 to provide scholarships for graduating LPSS seniors. I want to thank everyone who participated in this event as a player or as a sponsor. I also want to thank our Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Health, Mr. Nick Jeffers, who chairs this committee and made this year's event possible. Our Summer Accelerated Learning Program has concluded and by all accounts was extremely successful. With 160 teachers and administrators, we were able to enroll over 2,500 students, which is a record number for LPSS. This figure does not include our wonderful support staff of counselors, bus drivers, bus attendants, cafeteria workers, nurses, and custodians who work to make summer learning possible. This is the first year that high school students participated in face-to-face learning and the first time this program was offered to our elementary school students. We provided transportation for students in grades K through 12 at 8 school sites. With a pass rate of over 85% for our 3 through 12 face-to-face learners, our academic team is working diligently to close any learning gaps for our students. A huge thank you to our educators, leaders, and support staff who worked summer programs in order for our students to get the remediation and enrichment they needed. Thank you, and this concludes my comments.
Thank you, Superintendent Jrotc. Next, we have our information items, and we're going to start with item 2.5, Employee Services, Personnel Changes for July 7, 2021. Mr. Mouton.
Good evening to the board, to Ms. Jrotc. We have the privilege of introducing 8 new administrators this evening. 5 principals, 3 assistant principals. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with that and keep it brief, but also acknowledge the wonderful accomplishments that have been made. Our first principal is Dr. Janet Guarini. She is the principal of Karen Crow Middle School. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree and a Master's degree in Physical Education from Northwestern University and a Doctorate of Education in Educational Leadership from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. She has served as the Assistant Principal of Lafayette High School, the Principal of Chaplin High, Abbeville High, and most recently, Bonneville High School in Jefferson Parish. Dr. Janet Guarini.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Lafayette Parish School Board, Superintendent Jrotc. I am excited to be back in Lafayette Parish under your guided leadership and working with the experience of your administrative team. I am humbled and appreciate the opportunity to be the next principal at Karen Crow Middle. I look forward to being part of a collaborative team, embracing teaching and learning for all students, and striving for all students to be successful and performing on grade level. Superintendent Jrotc, I understand and believe in your pathway of becoming an A district. Your pathway includes Karen Crow Middle, and the community of Karen Crow will not let you down. I will work diligently with the school system and my colleagues so that Karen Crow Middle will be a sought-after and high-performing middle school in the Lafayette Parish school system. The community of Karen Crow deserves a middle school that is vibrant and alive, a school that is recognized for engaging classrooms that are guided by teaching and learning, a school that has expectations that are in place to foster a student's growth and development. Under my leadership and along with my administrative team, Karen Crow Middle will reflect a learning community of professionals with a collective mindset of growing and developing. Research indicates our classroom teachers are the greatest resource on a campus, and when we tap into those resources, we share best practices, we learn from each other, our skills advanced, and we become more refined in our classroom practices. Thus, teachers are reinventing and shaping their practices each time they move out of their comfort zone and try new and creative ways in the teaching and learning process. Again, I look forward to this school year, and thank you for the opportunity.
Next up, we have Dr. Shauna Leblanc. She's the new principal at S.J. Montgomery Elementary School. Dr. Leblanc holds a bachelor's in biology with a minor in chemistry and a master's degree in gifted education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. She also holds a PhD in leadership and administration from Capella University. She has taught middle school science in Vermilion Parish and gifted science at Lafayette High School. She has served as the LPSS Science Curriculum Specialist and Assistant Principal at Dusson Elementary and L. Leo Judice Elementary. Dr. LeBlanc.
I didn't know I'd be so nervous. Okay, so good evening, Superintendent Jrotc, Madam President Morrison, and members of the Lafayette Parish School Board. I am deeply humbled and honored to serve as the principal of S.J. Montgomery. I look forward to working with the staff, students, parents, and community of S.J. The path leading me to this moment has been shaped by my husband, my children, and those administrators I have had the opportunity to learn and grow under their leadership. Thank you to Ms. Fontenot and Ms. Lemaire for seeing qualities in me that I did not see in myself and for challenging me to grow in my profession. Thank you to my family and colleagues for your unwavering support and encouragement. I promise to give 110% by working with the staff of SJ Montgomery to move our students forward. Thank you for this opportunity.
Next up, Ms. Gabrielle Murgis, principal at Woodvale Elementary School. Ms. Murgis holds a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and a Master's of Science in School Counseling from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and an Educational Specialist degree in Educational Leadership from Arkansas State. She has taught 5th grade at SJ Montgomery, served as a school counselor at J.W. Falk Elementary, Paulboro Middle, and Woodvale Elementary. She most recently served as the assistant principal at Karen Crow Heights Elementary School. Ms. Gabrielle Murgis.
Good evening, everyone. I first want to go ahead and thank Ms. Jrotc, and I want to thank the board as well. You have a job I do not envy in the least. So thank you all very much, Mr. Tuchet and Ms. LaFleur as well. Your leadership has put me exactly where I am today. So without you, I have no doubt I wouldn't be here. That leads into my next 3 people, and 4 if you want to count the baby that I have in her carrier. Mom and Dad, thank you so much. I really wouldn't be here either without you. Will, my better half, and if you would know everything that goes on at home, as some of you may know with yourself, you truly are my better half, so thank you. That leads me into how I got here talking to all of you. Believe it or not, many years ago when I started kindergarten, I hated every single second of being in school, to the point where I had to take a picture of my parents and keep it on my lap because I did not want to be there at all. You can ask my parents. I cried pretty much every single day. It wasn't until I got to 2nd grade, and you know you have that one teacher who just molds you and turns you into everything that you were meant to be, and that lady was Miss Stacy Bowden. I wish I would have told her I was speaking today because chances are she would have wanted to come. She saw something in me that at that time I didn't see in myself, and she made me want to come to school. So when I think of my vision for Woodvale, and honestly it should be all of our vision for every child in Lafayette Parish, for every child that attends a public school here with us, how do we help those children be the best that they can be? What do we do to help promote them emotionally, socially, and academically? I'm ready for the challenge at Woodvale. It's a wonderful school. I think we can really improve on just a few key things to get us where we need to be. In closing though, I think we need to all keep in our minds, everyone who was lucky enough to be appointed, just like myself and the board, we're here for the kids. And that is my overall thing that I'm focusing on at Woodvale. So thank y'all, I really appreciate it.
Our next principal is Miss Carly Roselle. She is the principal of Catherine Drexel Elementary School. Ms. Roselle holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Early Childhood Education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and a Master's of Education in Educational Leadership from McNeese State University. She has taught kindergarten and 2nd grade at Austin Elementary and was the instructional leader at Austin as well. She recently served as the assistant principal at Catherine Drexel Elementary. Ms. Carly Roselle.
Superintendent Jrotc, Mr. Tuchet, Madam President, and members of the board, thank you for providing me this opportunity to continue to lead Catherine Drexel as the newly appointed principal. During my 2 years as assistant principal of Drexel, I proved my commitment to rigorous and engaging instruction by supporting our teachers in the classroom. I also developed trusting relationships with my staff and our students. As the new principal, my vision is to establish a supportive learning environment built on clear communication, strong staff, family, and student relationships, and to ensure that individual student needs are met. We will be data-driven to provide our students with focused instruction and appropriate levels of support, interventions, and enrichment. Together with my staff, we will focus on growing our students socially and academically to ensure that they have a successful future. I am truly honored to lead the amazing staff at Catherine Drexel Elementary on our pathway to an A school. Thank you.
And our final principal of the night, Miss Mary Dolores Spencer, principal of Broadmoor Elementary. Ms. Spencer holds a Bachelor's of General Studies and a Bachelor's of Elementary Education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and a Master's of Education in Administration and Supervision from the University of Phoenix. She has taught 4th grade and served as the behavior interventionist at Brobridge Elementary. She taught 4th grade at J. Wallace James and has served as the assistant principal at Evangeline Elementary and most recently J.W. Falk Elementary. Miss Mary Dolores Spencer.
Good evening. Thank you, and I'd like to acknowledge, welcome, thank you. Sorry, let me just calm down, I'm a little nervous. I would like to thank Ms. Trosclair, our superintendent, Madam President, Ms. Morrison, thank you, and board members. It's such an honor to stand before you this evening for this recognition. For so many, oh my gosh, years I've dreamt of making the decision to move forward in my career and to help children in ways that exceed beyond the walls of a regular classroom. And it is such an honor to be able to stand and say, I have been appointed as principal of Broadmoor Elementary. My heart has always been that when you reach children, you touch their souls. And not only do you educate them academically, you look towards seeing that they move forward in the future. And if you impact that in any way, their lives in any way, where when you think about the years to come down the road and they still remember you made a difference in their lives, then this was successful. I thank all the principals that I have worked under as a teacher, as an assistant principal, the individuals who have poured into me, who have challenged me, who have pushed me, and as well as leaders who have said, you have what it takes, and now I want you to go further, I want you to go deeper, and keep it pushing, as Ms. Barbe would say to me. Ms. Williams at Evangeline Elementary, she has really been just a source of strength and encouragement for so many years. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the time and the effort. And while I am at Broadmoor, I promise I will labor. And I will labor with the dignity as well as leading through examples. I want every child who walks through the door to know that they are loved, they are valued, and that our expectations will be high, but they have the success of what they need in order to achieve those goals. And years from now, when we see them rise into graduation and adulthood and move on to their careers, I want them to reflect on their time at Broadmoor Elementary and say, it was worth it. Someone invested in me. May I also invest in others. And certainly last but not least, I want to thank my beautiful daughter, Melody, who puts up with mommy and all her demands and high expectations. And she always is right there. She's my greatest cheerleader, and I love you so. Thank you very much for your vote of confidence, and you are not going to be proven wrong. Thank you.
Salachale.
Ms. Spencer, I can't let you sit down without saying what I have to say. This young lady stood and said, when a teacher makes an impact on someone's life, you made an impact on a 4th grader many years ago at J. Wallace James. His name is Brock Lochley, my son. You were the teacher he needed. You were the teacher we asked for. You were the teacher we got. You took him on and helped him start an academic path. With your foundation in mathematics, he has a degree in applied engineering. He's very successful with Baker Hughes. We'll be getting married in November. Ms. Spencer will be at the wedding. She was at his graduation. She will be at the wedding, and Brock does not know she's going to be at the wedding. It's a surprise. The impact you made on our only child, he has not forgotten. We have not forgotten. And I just want you to know today how proud we are of you, and I just wonder, is thank you enough? Thank you, Ms. Spencer. And I want a picture before you leave.
I'm gonna do that. Make sure.
Okay. So now we have our assistant principals, and we have 3 assistant principals to introduce this evening. First up is Miss Elizabeth Beard, and she is the new assistant principal at Austin Elementary School. She holds a bachelor's in education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and a master's degree in educational leadership from McNeese State University. She has taught 3rd grade at Ross Elementary in Acadia Parish and 5th grade at Austin Elementary. She has most recently served as the assistant principal at James A. Harrod Elementary in Vermilion Parish. Miss Elizabeth Beard.
Good evening. I need to dry up my tears. That was so touching. Wow. Good evening. Again, as Mr. Mouton mentioned, I am Liz Beard, the newly appointed principal at Austin Elementary. I first thank you, Superintendent Trosclair, and all board for the appointment. It's truly, truly appreciated. I can't tell you how excited I am to be back with Lafayette Parish School Board. I previously taught at Austin before transferring to Vermilion Parish as an assistant principal, so I'm thrilled to be back with the staff at Austin, where the culture is like no other. If you've never stepped into Austin, do yourself a favor and step into Austin. The culture there is phenomenal. So I'm a huge believer in relationships. So the first thing I want to focus on is building relationships with not only the staff, but also our entire student body. I want to bring a positive light, high motivation for all teachers and all students to succeed, and witness the enthusiasm with the teachers and the students. I thank you again for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with the newly appointed principal, Ms. Venable, and I'm looking forward to having the best year yet at Austin. So again, thank you.
Next up is Ms. Allison Klaus, assistant principal at Carencro Heights Elementary School. Ms. Klaus is a former United States Marine who holds a bachelor's in psychology from the University of New Orleans and a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. She has taught special education at NP Moss Preparatory School and most recently has served as the lead special education teacher at Austin Elementary. Ms. Allison Klaus.
Good evening. Thank you all board members and Ms. Trosclair for the opportunity to be able to make a difference on a larger scale with this upcoming school year. I had a chance to talk to Ms. Mesa, the principal at Carencro Heights, and I'm really looking forward to working with her to be able to continue to build a community that can support the academic, social, and emotional growth of all of our students, so that they can build a solid foundation for becoming better people and more productive little people once they get out into the world, like Ms. Spencer mentioned. I'm looking forward to helping to cultivate a compassionate and inclusive school culture where all students can come to school and feel like they belong there and that they're cared for and loved. So hopefully that will help to narrow some achievement gaps and reduce some discipline issues. Also, I plan to support with the facilitation of staff development, the improvement of the special programs on the campus, and improving overall learning for all of the students at Carencro Heights. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Our third assistant principal for the evening is Miss Amy Ellis, and she is the new assistant principal at Catherine Drexel Elementary School. Ms. Ellis holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. She has taught 5th grade at Youngsville Christian Academy and 4th grade at Catherine Drexel Elementary School. She is a teacher mentor and most recently has served as the instructional leader of Catherine Drexel Elementary School, Miss Amy Ellis.
Good evening, Superintendent, Mr. Tuchek, Board. As mentioned by Mr. Mouton, I'm the recently appointed principal at Catherine Drexel. I'm honored to serve alongside Ms. Roselle as we move Catherine Drexel forward on our path to an A. My vision is to assist in creating a collaborative work environment that is centered around student achievement, to create an environment that affords all students access to high-quality curriculum and instruction from the best teachers in the parish, to create an environment that's supportive of the social and emotional needs of the students, and an environment that welcomes parents and the community support. I'm excited about the new direction that Drexel is about to partake in, and I'm humbled to be a part of the journey. Thank you.
Madam President, that is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mouton.
Ms.
Congratulations to all appointed principals and vice principals. Oh, yeah, if you want to leave, you can. If you would like to stay, you can stay. Yes. If you have another meeting to go to, you could go. It kind of sounded like you was kicking them out, though.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I figured
I'm glad you said that.
there was a baby. I was like, oh, that might get a long night.
Yeah. Okay, our next agenda item, we're going to go back to 2.1 Academics, Pathway to an A, LPSS Vision 2024. Dr. Rabelais.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. I'm very excited to be providing you all with information regarding our vision for Lafayette Parish School System as it relates to student progress. Although COVID has set us back in many ways, I'm confident that our academic team under the leadership of Dr. Mark Rabelais and Mr. Francis Touchette, along with our school leaders and outstanding educators, will do the work needed to get our students back on track and moving forward in a positive way. During this presentation, you will gain some insight as to where we currently stand and our deliberate and strategic pathways to move us forward. Our administration has and will continue to keep as our #1 priority student achievement. And we remind each other regularly about the importance of the roles that we play in the lives of children. It's my hope that the presentation this evening by Dr. Rabelais and his team provide you all with some information and reminds each of you of the important role that board members play in the lives of our students as well. So at this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Mark Rabelais, Mr. Ryan Martin, and Mr. Brian Allemont, as well as Mr. Francis Touchette, who will be doing part of our presentation this evening. Dr. Rabelais?
Hello? All right, good evening, y'all. That sounds better. It's really a pleasure to present to you guys this evening to talk about academics and teaching and learning. After the last year and a half of response, reaction, and mitigating factors that we've had to go through, you know, the mantra for us is it's about teaching and learning. It's good to get back to the root of that. So I'll present very briefly some surface level parts of this document. I will not read word for word, but hopefully you'll have a better understanding of where we want to go, where we currently are, and some things that we'll do to try to get to our goals and achieve our goals throughout this process. So I'm just going to start right at the front with why education is important. I don't think I need to go into too much detail about a high quality, high caliber educational system yields not only a better standard of living, but a better community in general, to where people want to come, live, work, and be a part of. When you go into our district statistics, you'll see not only information about our district in general, but specifically about some of our schools and students as well. One of the things I would like for you to just take note of, Lafayette Parish is the 6th largest district in the state. So when we talk about our academic goals and achievement, we are talking about a large shift and a large direction of where we want to go. You also notice it's one of the top 100 largest districts in the United States as well, in America. So this is a large district, has a lot of moving parts. We're certainly not going to touch on every single aspect of our entire plan. But again, hopefully you have an idea of where we are and where we want to go as we map out the next steps. You'll see there are some statistics on not only our staff as ethnicity, gender breakdown, but also education in this document. You'll see some comparison salaries of Lafayette Parish teachers and how it compares with other districts, especially in our neighboring region. You see that as a whole, our teacher salaries is on the higher average or the higher side of this comparison. You'll also see, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Guidry to talk very briefly, some financial highlights and scope and sequence of this document as well. Mr. Guidry?
Thank you, Dr. Robley. In the financial highlights section, I really feel that it's reflective of the board and administration's commitment to sound operations and reporting of the results of those operations. I think the first item on this particular page reflects the results of that commitment. Lafayette Parish School District has the highest bond rating of all school districts in the state of Louisiana. It has a AA+ from Standard & Poor, and it has a AA1 from Moody's. These bond ratings basically equate to a better market to sell our school district's bonds. It equates to lower interest rates, which means a lower cost of debt. So two significant benefits to these stellar bond ratings. Major contributing factors reflected are contributing to sound operations. Board has adopted a policy regarding fund balance, whereby we set aside an economic stabilization fund, referred to by some as a rainy day fund, equal to 2.5 months of expenditures. Currently, the balance in that economic stabilization fund is $57.9 million. The idea is these funds would be available in the event of an economic downturn so that the board has time to formulate a plan without having to enact immediate significant impacts on the daily operations of the schools. A second contributing factor is in the way that the board expends the funds. 80% of expenditures goes towards instruction and direct support. 13.45% goes to capital acquisitions and renovations. The revenues contributing or supporting those expenditures, the breakdown there is 52% are local funds, 38% state, and 10% federal. The other commitment that I mentioned, first was sound operations, second is reporting the results of those operations. The results of that commitment are reflected in our school district having received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from both the Government Finance Officers Association and the Association of School Business Officials International for the past 27 years. In essence, this means that our financial statements meet the higher standards of financial reporting in the country and in Canada. That brings us to our growth and expansion. I mentioned earlier that the board expends approximately 13.45% in the area of capital. And we can take a quick look at some of the projects that are currently ongoing or in their starting stages. We have the Edgar Morton Wing Addition. We have 2 ROTC buildings, one at Acadiana High and one at Ove Como High School. We have a cafeteria expansion and wing addition at Woodvale. We have renovations at the recently purchased central office location, the new central office location. And I might add that that office was purchased with the sales proceeds from the existing site as well as our Vermilion Conference Center. So in essence, at no additional cost. We have a new bus facility site. We have maintenance and renovations that are starting up at this new site. The combined budgets for these projects just mentioned are right at $20.4 million, and the completion dates range anywhere from July of 21. July of 21 to December of 2022. So all the projects listed should basically be completed within the next two and a half years. We also have targeted or set aside funding for 3 replacements of schools. We have 2 elementary schools that are being replaced, Prairie Elementary and Karen Crow Heights. Estimated completion period of 24 months, an estimated budget of $25 million for each of those 2 sites. And then we have Lafayette High School that will be replaced within the next 36 to 42 months with a budget of $100 million. And so with that brief summary of the really exciting projects that we have going on in the parish, I would ask Dr. Rabelais to take us to the next section.
Thank you, Mr. Gidrick. I would be remiss if I did not highlight a few things on our community partners page, especially those Love Our Schools, who's been just an instrumental partner with our district, as well as the work that they're doing not only in the zone, but trying to expand that work, like the cafe model, and trying to get more parents and family involvement, initiatives and models in place that we could expand further out into other schools and other areas in our district. We have many arts and talented partners as well with our local museums and just performing arts centers and other institutions around the area that we partner with regularly. And then finally, the life skills partners are bridging students with disabilities to work in early release work programs so that they can work in the workforce community and actually have real world work experience. And so we could not do that work without strong community partners that open their doors to those students and allow them in to do some really good work during the school day, after the school day, whenever they can. So kudos to all of our community partners. We couldn't do this without them. So now we get to go into the real meat of this plan. And guys, we have faced such learning loss the last year and a half with our students. It has been beyond what any of us in education ever thought we would face, the adversity, the obstacles, the barriers. It's been tremendous. Perfect segue, all of the new principals you just got to meet and assistant principals, you just got a taste of the heart of an educator. And it's almost impossible to ignore the potential of the educators in this district, the talents of our teachers in our classrooms, and just the way they're able to connect with kids unlike anything that can be described or even tangibly discussed. So with that being said, knowing the just limitless potential of our educators, knowing their heart and passion for what we need to do, we know we needed to set an ambitious academic goal. And for us, that is to be an A district by the year 2024. That is such an ambitious goal that if we were to achieve it, referring back to those stats that I stated earlier, we would be the largest district in the state to achieve that A ranking. But we know that's what our community, our kids, our faculty, what our students deserve. And that's the least what we could do, is try to aim for that bar and to achieve at such a high level. So that is the expectation for ourselves. That's the bar we've set. And we think that with our just unbelievable educators in this district, it's certainly something that is attainable. So I'm going to move on to some top academic priorities that we have in the district. These are things that are going to apply to any content, any grade level, anything that we discuss. It's basically going to start with curriculum and instruction, right? Our kids need the best materials, the best resource, the best text. They're also going to need technology at their fingertips and more modern technology to have access to. And this is not only in the class, this also bridges to at home, whether it's Wi-Fi capabilities, broadband width, whatever the case may be. We need to make sure we do everything we can as an educational institution to shorten, eliminate, narrow that opportunity gap. The fact is that some of our students who need the most have the least, and so as an educational institution, we got to take that into account to try to provide the best equal and equitable education that we can. The other thing you'll see peppered throughout this entire document, and it's under the category of interventions and enrichment, and I'll probably say it more than once, and I'll probably be a broken record with it. One, our summer learning program, our academic summer learning recovery program, and another will be extended learning. You know, the question that I'm sure you guys may have, and the question I'm sure that we'll get most often is, how do you make up for such lost learning, for such a large amount of time that was lost on learning? And really, for us, it was kind of an elementary answer. You provide more learning opportunities and time for instruction. So really, for us, extending basically the school year by an entire month for a lot of our students who needed more time for summer school, kudos to you guys, because y'all were amazing at supporting us in not only expanding it all the way summer school from kindergarten all the way to 12, we aligned transportation, we aligned social workers, we aligned counselors, nurses. They had a ton of support, and it was wonderful being on those campuses, 8 different sites, that we were able to see kids get resources they never would have had for an entire month. That was a wonderful thing that kind of started to close that gap just a little bit. When we talk about extended learning, we're still going to have tutoring. Tutors can be certified, non-certified, they could be teachers, they could be any number of things, but tutoring during the day is just that. It's usually an adult that's there to help target instruction or intervention during the day. When we talk about extended learning, our hope is that soon in the school year, we will connect our most highly effective teachers with the students that need the most and make sure that before school, after school, those teachers are given more time with kids so that they can continue to narrow those gaps. We'll also align transportation for those initiatives as well. Again, eliminating opportunity gaps at every turn that we can. Also, and I think it's worth saying because I don't hear it discussed as much, we have a lot of kids that were already struggling that after all of this, we know we got a lot of work to do to help get them back to a level of proficiency. We also had a ton of students that were at those above level, advanced mastery level of achievement. They also lost learning. So for us to target kids that were on the higher side of that achievement level is a focus of ours also, so that we know that we want to use STEM initiatives, coding initiatives, writing workshop, reading workshops, things that could hopefully expand those kids that were needing a little bit of a push to get to that next level. We need to get them to that higher level and then keep pushing them. So that's going to be a big part of our academic programming also. Next week we have a NASA STEM camp for K-6 students. That was free and available to any students, and that is going to be a really, really robust program for our K-6 students. We also have a middle school CSI mystery camp as well. Those are initiatives that we need to keep our higher learners engaged just as much as we're trying to intervene with those students that are struggling on the other side. Opportunities, you know, we're kind of the envy of other districts in the state when I network with others. We have so many opportunities for kids, from magnet academies, languages, alternate settings, whatever the case may be. But if a kid has a talent, aptitude, skill, and interest, we most likely have a specific setting or program that we can connect them with. And that's an amazing, amazing thing to offer to students across the district. And then finally, the last two things, leadership. We continue to broaden our Aspiring Leaders program, as well as we meet regularly with our principals and have focused discussions. In the transformation zone, they have really meaningful PDs with NIET and making sure they connect with high quality vendors for their leaders also. And then the final thing that I do want to mention is diverse learners. When talking about, we have a large English language learners population and students with disabilities population that we need to address, that we believe in an inclusion model. We believe that it's best to mainstream them students in a general ed classroom or with their regular on-level peers as much as possible, as opposed to pulling out and secluding those students. And so we are proud of that fact that we endorse co-teaching, co-planning, collaborating between either special ed and the general ed teacher or English language learner and the general ed teacher as well. Moving on to the critical goals. When we talk about what is the path or how will we know we're successful along the way, these 4 critical goals are kind of our benchmark. They're kind of our goalposts to know that. Starts with pre-K and K readiness, right? And really that's twofold. When we talk pre-K and K readiness, we're talking about, are we getting more kids into high quality childcare? And then are we delivering impactful curriculum and instruction for those that are enrolled? When we talk about 3rd grade readiness, or kids in grades K to 2, we're talking about foundational skills in reading and math. When we talk about what's happening between 3rd grade to 8th grade and 9th grade readiness, now we're moving into more conceptual thinking and abstract thinking, but we really got to focus on 4 core, ELA, math, science, and social studies across the board, so that those students are ready to move onto a high school campus by their 9th grade year. And then that's the end all be all, right? Like that's the big celebration, is that those students can graduate on time with their peers and have a high quality diploma that can better serve them, but then also better serve our community in the long run, that we know we're putting out high caliber students when it's all said and done. So I'll dive into these individually just very briefly. Again, starting with pre-K and K readiness, it's important to note that when we talk about our early childhood department, we're not just talking about a department that serves just the 20-something classrooms that we have in our schools, but we're also talking about a lead network in the state that actually services and coordinates with 40 other child care centers in our district and surrounding area to make sure that they are having impactful instruction and high quality care for our youngest students. One of the statistics that kept jumping out, and if you take nothing else from what I'm saying today, one of the biggest things that kept jumping out at us when we would do the research or when we would have these discussions is that 90% of brain development occurs from birth to age 5. So think about all of those students when you look at these charts, something as simple as we say served versus unserved. That's where we have the most work to do. We have to make sure we advocate. If nothing else, we bring awareness to that fact that it's so important to connect our youngest learners to high quality child care centers sooner as opposed to later, so that they are able to have a head start on gaining those foundational skills and knowledge, that play, that intellectual play and social interaction that they so desperately crave. When we talk again about 3rd grade readiness, something that we had mentioned earlier, it really starts with English language arts and reading, right? We are lucky when we talk about our path. One of our big things right now that we've implemented the last few years is that we have a curriculum that is phonics based. It's teaching kids how to read, and it's teaching science, it's teaching the teachers the science behind reading. And so that's kind of a shift for us, but we think it's a good shift, and it's aligned with what the state is saying is best practices. Again, when we talk about math, building that number sense, building that just basic understanding of math and building their understanding so that they're prepared for those more abstract concepts later. Again, when we talk about the pathway for our K-2 students, this was the first year that we had K-2 summer learning. And that was almost a camp environment where it was arts, music, PE. It was more than just summer school. And so that was important to us, and we hope that we continue that with you guys' support. We will continue to offer extended learning for those youngest of learners also. As a district, we're also one of the recipients of a pilot grant called the Real Literacy Grant, REAL, Real Literacy Grant. And essentially that connects students to a device that they keep at home, and then we provide vouchers for them to connect with other tutoring vendors like a Sylvan Learning Center, so that at home they have a device that they can connect with others. So these are some things that we will hope build those foundational skills even further. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Alamo, Director of Accountability, to give a brief overview of our current system.
Thank you, Dr. Rabalais. What you'll see on page 17, the top portion, you'll see 6 components, and these are developed by the state. So there really was no guesswork on our part in identifying what it takes to get to an A. This is produced from a state document that they released in about August of 2020. The 6 components, as you can see, student performance on state assessments needs to be at the mastery level or higher. Student progress needs to be on track to achieve mastery. Dropout credit accumulation, which is a count of credits in the freshman year to see how well the middle school did in preparing them for high school. ACT score, the expectation there is an average of 21. Strength of diploma is the rigor of coursework that the students are taking, specifically dual enrollment, AP, and industry-based credentials add to the strength of diploma index. And cohort graduation rate, are our kids graduating on time and in 4 years? And you'll notice that the state is telling us that 9 out of 10 have to be on time. And so a focus on dropouts is necessary, because we can't get to graduating 9 out of 10 if 2 out of 10 are dropping out each year. The bottom half of the page, you'll see the 3 circle graphs. We'll start with the leftmost circle graph, which represents the elementary school performance. You'll see just 3 components there. Largely, this is based on test scores and the achievement level of test scores. There's a smaller wedge of 25% that represents the progress index, how well is the growth on the state tests, and that's sort of a 2-step dance. The first question is the child on track to achieve mastery at that particular grade level? If the answer is no, then that's when the VAM portion of the accountability system kicks in and they are compared to their peers. The middle circle graph represents elementary and combo middle school performance scores with grade 8. You'll see an additional component there, the DCAI index, as well as the interest and opportunities index, also in the elementary circle graph as well. Interest and opportunity is the variety of non-academic and academic opportunities that's involved that each school would offer. Lastly, the high school circle graph looks almost nothing like the first 2. There's many more components that go into the high school score. The largest 2 being the strength of diploma, the ACT index. Next is the grad cohort rate. That's where dropouts factor in. And then the assessment index at 12.5, the progress index at 12.5, and the interest and opportunities at 5%. Dr. Rabalais.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo. So when we go to the next critical goal, 9th grade readiness, remember we're now talking 3rd all the way to 8th grade, that we want to make sure that we prepare students, ELA, math, science, and social studies, so that they're ready to get on a 9th grade campus, a high school campus ready. One of the things I do want to highlight on the bottom of page 18, when we talk about what Mr. Alamo was just referencing, our achievement levels, approaching basic is really the bare minimum requirement for graduation, or getting even slightly ready to get somewhat credit for achievement. Our targets are written around the mastery level, the 2nd highest achievement level. That mastery level represents college and career readiness standards that have been achieved and demonstrated proficiently, and that we can with some certainty say the student has the skills needed for either high quality or high credential workforce or a diploma track in the college. So when we turn the page and we look at our goals for 3 through 8, you'll see English, math, science, and social studies. The goal is to get a majority of our students to mastery or above. And you see we have some work to do in more areas than other. We will continue to align our assessments to make sure that we have a pulse on learning. along the way throughout the year so that we're not waiting till that LEAP 2025 end of year test to see if our students are achieving at a mastery level. We will get a temperature check along the way and a pulse check along the way of how our students are doing so that we can make academic instructional shifts before we get to that end of the year. The other thing you may notice is that your third grade and your eighth, by the time you see that eighth grade snapshot, there's a slight dip. Could be any number of things. Could be previous retentions for students. Some middle school students are overage by that point. It's just middle school climate and culture kind of with the students at that time. We are going to start to embed in our middle school schedules some time and specific coursework aimed at remediating deficiencies for students so that we can target coursework and course classes for a student and put it in their schedule so that they receive those interventions during the year before we look at retention or before we explore further retentions. One of the things I do want to highlight, especially for our elementary, middle schools, you'll see the progress where we say that all of our students currently are an A or B in progress. The state awards an actual grade level for how we do in moving kids from one achievement to the level or moving them towards their growth goals. And right now, all of our schools are either an A or a B in that growth measure, which is phenomenal. Moving forward, we hope that all 100% are an A in growth towards mastery. Again, when we talk about what are the other initiatives and things that we can do, summer learning, extended learning, and then also now when we talk about middle school going into ninth grade and high school, we have a transitional ninth grade option for some of our students. And so instead of continually retaining a kid or pushing a kid onto a high school that may not be ready, we've been pretty aggressive in the last few years in exploring a transitional ninth grade option that again allows some specialized coursework for those rising eighth graders on a ninth grade campus to where they're not getting too much at a time, but they're able to go with their peers to a high school campus and again get some specialized classes and coursework that can help them bridge that gap to the next level to stay on track. So the chart on page 20 I do want to highlight because I do think this says a lot. A lot can happen between elementary, middle, and high school, as you can imagine. So what you're seeing on this chart is two student scenarios. A student A that's on level has been achieving at certain levels of proficiencies, has no significant learning disabilities or deficiencies of any kind. And then you'll see student B, a student that may be performing slightly below. Our district resources and programs are aimed at meeting the kids on either side of this track and scenario. So if I'm on level, I could get some additional electives and arts exposure by as early as 4th, 5th grade. In middle school, I may get some further computer adaptive programming that pushes me above and beyond even my content level or grade level. If I do struggle, say I'm normally on level, but for whatever reason I'm just struggling in 7th grade science, I'm still afforded re-engagement, reassessment, grade recovery options just like anyone else. If I'm really fluent in math or I'm really doing well in math, I can start earning high school credit in my 8th grade math class through Algebra 1. And then again, by the time I do get to high school, I may further qualify for additional dual enrollment, advanced placement, or honors opportunities. If I'm a student below level, again, I can receive tutoring during school, before school, after school, transportation. We have summer recovery learning options. We have the same interventions and programming that can meet a kid on their level. And then finally, again, on that 9th grade, if I'm still struggling and I just need a little bit extra help or modified assistance on my course scheduling, then I can go to a high school with my peers on time and on track and just be in a transitional 9th grade path and to get that remediation or that help that I may need for the additional interventions. Mr. Alamo, did you want to revisit one more time on page 21 some of the high school parts?
On page 21, 5 of the 6 components that we saw on page 17. This speaks to the high school measure. And remember that rightmost circle graph had many more slices than the elementary and the middle/elementary. And this sort of speaks to that. These are 5 of the 6 components the state's measuring when they assess high schools. If you turn the page, you'll go into a more detailed explanation of each. Dr. Obley, do you want to speak to grad cohort?
Yeah, so it's really important when you get to high school how important that cohort graduation rate is. Essentially, are we able to get our students a diploma in the 4 years' time? And so you can see where we currently are. I do think that over the past few years, the state has offered some flexibilities and waivers through the COVID. We will see these numbers increase. The work on our side is how do we continue to increase those numbers above and beyond when we talk about cohort graduation rate. The goal for an A is to get to 90%. ACT, again, everyone usually hears referenced how important the ACT score is. You can see we are slightly above the state average when you talk about the ACT score. Again, our goal is to get an average or a majority of students at 21 or above. That means that most of our kids will qualify for TOPS opportunities and additional funding or scholarships. We have, and Mr. Ryan Martin has been instrumental in that as well, partnered with ACT Mastery Prep to make sure that every school will have an ACT plan, that we have resources for every student, and not only the content of ACT, but test-taking skills, as well as boot camps that are basically real big booster sessions to try to improve a student's ACT scores. One thing that you don't hear as much about, but is just as important as kind of the workforce equivalent, is ACT work keys. ACT work keys, in conjunction with a high-level credential that a student may earn in high school, it goes a long way for a future employer, and it goes a long way for a kid to show that they are truly work ready. They have the workforce credentials, they have the workforce assessment to back up that stance that they are truly workforce ready. So when you see a goal of a silver on ACT work keys, that's essentially the equivalent of a 21 on an ACT. Mr. Martin, do you want to talk about credentials and dual enrollment?
So the workforce readiness and credentials that you see in the middle section of the page, the 6,703 students, that's how many students we had this past school year that were enrolled and working towards credentials. And 48.6% of those students earned at least one credential this year. Now our goal moving forward is to increase those numbers and increase the percentage of those kids earning those credentials. On the dual enrollment side, this year, and I'll get more into it in some more detail in the coming pages, but this year we had 4,208 courses that were taken from the colleges and universities that we partnered with, and of those courses, it was taken by 1,622 students, so which equates to 12,622 college credits that were earned by our students in the district this past year. So our goal in the coming years, moving into 2024, is to increase those dual enrollment courses up to 5,500 courses in a year and 2,000 students enrolled in those courses. And I'll get into more detail on that when we get into the next page. Ms. Allen, you want to speak about the strength of diploma index?
Sure. So probably the most mysterious part of this is what the state calls the strength of diploma index. It's not unlike the strength of schedule in the sports world, where the tougher the schedule is, the more you're rewarded if you succeed. Very similar here, but in terms of coursework. The more rigorous coursework that you take, the state recognizes that, whether it's AP coursework or dual enrollment. Similarly, if you earn industry-based credentials on the Jumpstart Pathway Diploma, the state is going to reward that for more rigorous credentials. So that kind of sums up the strength of diploma measure that the state developed. Mr. Martin?
So looking at page 23, at the top, you'll see our dual enrollment opportunities. Currently in the district, and for many years, we've partnered with South Louisiana Community College and UL Lafayette. This past year, we added in Louisiana State University. And so we had a large plethora of kids that were taking classes at those three universities. And moving forward, in order to provide opportunities for those kids in different courseworks and those types of things to entice students to be involved in dual enrollment, one of the board members actually mentioned to Dr. Robley about opportunities at LSUA. So we've got them added on for this coming school year, and I'm currently working with Grambling, Southern, and Northwestern and getting them added as potential opportunities for our high schools for those students to take dual enrollment courses. And as you see in the bottom section, over the course of the past 3 years, we've seen an increase of almost double the amount of kids that are enrolled in dual enrollment courses at our high schools from 18-19 to this past year. And the amount of courses taken have almost doubled as well. So we have a lot of opportunities that our kids are taking advantage of at the high school level. Moving into your high school credentials, this year alone, our students earned over 14,000 industry-based credentials, and you see the breakdown by your respective high schools from the board members' districts as how those credentials are earned at those individual high schools, and the credentials align themselves to the jobs in the workforce. So we took the 5 most prevalent industries that a lot of these kids are earning credentials in that they could go into, and you see those respective salaries at the bottom. So it's not your typical, matching up if a kid graduates high school compared to not graduating, but just showing the credentials that they're earning and what type of fields they're going into and the salaries that they have the potential of earning after leaving Lafayette Parish School System. Mr. Alamo?
So on the top of page 25, you'll see a breakdown of the work of our graduates from this past year. The vast majority, 71%, were on the TOPS University diploma track. 27% of our graduates from this year earned a TOPS Tech Jumpstart Career Diploma. Those are the ones most often associated with industry-based credentials. Last but not least is 2% of our students earning alternative pathway diploma. You may recall Dr. Avale mentioning the effort to have inclusion of our special ed population in the classroom with every other child. This 2%, although the number seems small compared to the other 2, represents the hard work of that inclusion effort by Ms. Artigo and her team. Dr. Avale?
Thank you, guys. So the last thing with high school you'll see is just like what we mentioned with grades 3 through 8, you have a progress goal. Again, currently A's and B's across the board are a goal moving forward with to be all A's. And then again, when we talk about the LEAP end of year course exams for high school students that are graduation requirements, they just have to get approaching basic. But again, we want a majority of our students achieving mastery or above so that we can demonstrate that they are college or career ready. And then the pathway for high school, y'all, it's large high schools, it's large numbers, but it really does go down to individual kids. And our counselors, shout out to them. They do a wonderful job in high school in making sure that we schedule kids appropriately, that we put them in the right classes with the right teachers, but that they also address that social emotional side and counseling side along the way. And then again, looking at our career center and any other alternate setting that may be out there that for a kid to explore that may better benefit them, whether it's dual enrollment, AP, or workforce credentialing along the way. So I do really appreciate your time and hearing us out on the academic side of things. We know it's going to be a bit of a marathon and not a sprint. But again, can't say enough about our teachers and admin for all that they have done, and you guys for the continued support, patience as we navigate all of this collectively and together. I'll turn it over to Mr. Touchette to close us out.
So to have a plan is one thing, but for that plan to become a reality, I think it's important that we all understand that there is 47 schools within this school district. And we plan on sitting with each of those school leaderships to get a plan for them to move one letter grade to the other letter grade. And the one thing that is going to make a difference, and I have experience in seeing lots of people have plans, is that you have to inspect what you expect. And if that does not happen, the reality of being an A in 2024 is not going to be there. I can assure you with Superintendent Trosclair, the entire leadership here at the district level, to our principals and teachers, you've heard that language from some of those people that were up here talking. The pathway to the A is here, and we plan and we will attain that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for the presentation. I'm not sure about the rest of you guys. I'm really excited right here. I'll just be brief. When I first ran for school board about 7 years ago, on my little push card, that's what I had. LPSS will become an A district. And so it looks like it's going to happen before my term is up. And I'm so excited about everything that we're doing here. Everyone, the community, our administration, Ms. Troxclair, we have so much to be proud of in our school system. So many people don't realize everything that goes on and how hard we work. Our teachers, our support staff, everyone. We're working very hard to move our system forward and to get to this A district. And I know in my heart And 2024, we're going to get it. We're going to make it happen. And if not, we're going to be very close to the district. So thank you guys for all what you've done. Thank you for this presentation. Let's give these guys a hand, because you get everyone, Ms. Jrotc, Claire, her team, you deserve it. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to move to our next information item, and it's item 2.2. It's a presentation of our reading for rewards, and Mr. Brett Berard, he's the past president of Kiwanis Lafayette, and he is a charter member of the new Kiwanis in Scott. So I had the opportunity to work with Mr. Brett briefly. He's a really awesome guy and has some very exciting report for us. Mr. Brett?
Working? Oh, present. Thank you, Madam President. I met with her as a member of the Scott Club. She's also a member of the Scott Kiwanis Club, if you didn't know.
Yes,
and
I am.
Incoming treasurer. And so we met a couple weeks ago to get ready for her new role there. And I told her about the program, and she asked me to come speak. And then Monday we met again, and she told me, y'all like pictures, so I heard me put together some pictures for you guys.
Yes, we
real
like
quick.
pictures.
So she said, my name is Brett Bayard. I'm with, on a full-time job, I'm an engineer and a surveyor here in Lafayette. Work for Mader Engineering. But I'm here to talk about my passion for the Kiwanis Club of Lafayette, and our new program, Rewards for Reading, that we just started this year. So what is Kiwanis? I'll just start real quickly. What is Kiwanis? It's a global organization of volunteers that are dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. We're everywhere. Every country we have Kiwanis. Lafayette Parish alone, we have somewhere around, did I do that? We have somewhere around, I think 5 Kiwanis clubs in Lafayette, including the Scott Club. We're the biggest one in Lafayette, the oldest in Lafayette, and we're actually the second biggest in the state. So I'm here to talk about this program called Rewards for Reading. It's one of several programs that we do with you guys as a Kiwanis. We're actually really good partners with y'all. Christmas time we do what's called the Operation Magi, where we buy Christmas for several homeless kids that you guys, your staff identifies for us, gets them to the Walmart, and we bring them around and buy them clothes and gifts. But we're most known for our high school jamboree, which will be next month, August 26th and 27th. We're having it. It's gonna, we missed it last year, unfortunately, but this will be number 69th high school jamboree. We're really excited about it, so hopefully y'all can make it. So Rewards for Reading, it's actually not something we started. It started up in Metairie. The guy on your screen you see there, his name's Mel Dussel. He's one of the Kiwanians and the Dawnbusters. They're actually the largest Kiwanis club in Louisiana. In 2006, they started this program down in Jefferson and Orleans Parish. And they've made it a really big program, some kind of pictures from their website. The program's quite simple, and this is directly from their website. The basic concept is simple. The children read a book. They take a test to demonstrate that they comprehend it. If they pass, they get a ticket that goes into a drawing for prizes. The more books they read and pass the test on, the more chances they have to win. So I was given a presentation on their program back in 2016 and got really excited. A couple of us got really excited. We wanted to bring it here. Unfortunately, the beginning of the school year, kind of everything got mixed up. And so we thought, well, we're going to take a step back, and we're not going to bring it into 2020, 2021 year. We'll do it later. But then Home Bank comes along, gives us a pretty sizable donation for this program. Got the check on a Friday, and on Tuesday I was already in contact with the school system. Decided we're going to do something. And so we moved forward. By the time the kids came back to school after the Christmas break, they got this message in their box that said that there's a program coming to incentivize kids in elementary schools to read, the Rewards for Reading program. So once we made the decision in our club, even though we didn't have enough money, we decided we're going to buy 48 bikes, 2 for every elementary school. We're going to buy all the helmets. So we started spending money. We decided we're going to do it even though we didn't have the money for it. We're going to get it done. The biggest challenge was buying bikes during COVID because everybody was buying bikes and then they stopped producing bikes. So we bought every 20-inch bike from Crowley to Breaux Bridge to New Iberia. We hit every Walmart, hit every Academy. It was a struggle. This is me buying as many helmets as I can find at a Walmart. But we ended up getting it done. I can't remember exactly if this was January or February. We broke the news to the public. We brought the first set of bikes. And as we got more bikes, we kept delivering them. And we made sure to put them in display at every school so they could see the bikes and they know what they're working for. This is Austin Elementary. They put it on the stage at the cafeteria, so every day the kids had to walk by and see what they're working for. So I told you we didn't have enough money, but that was not a problem. Our members alone put up $5,500, which was more than enough to buy. Then we had the $2,500 here. We ended up raising about $13,000 in cash and prizes. So we were able to buy almost 100 of these Razor scooters. This is what 100 scooters looks like in my office, getting ready for delivery. Then we got a bunch of other partners together. UL partnered with the ACA and other organizations to put together this gift bag here. We got some Happy Meals. The McDonald's gave us, I think, a couple hundred Happy Meal coupons that we gave out. The library, Lafayette Parish Library, gave us 100-something of these bags with a bunch of different goodies. Cox Communications came through with a bunch of bags for to add to the prize pack. And then with all of the extra supplies, we put together little supply kits for the libraries. Just bags of pencils and pens and crayons and all kinds of stuff. So we didn't get a chance, obviously, this year to do the big display, the big event like they do in Metairie. They typically do in Metairie. They actually didn't even do it this year because of COVID. So what we did is we worked with all of the schools, and we did a Zoom drawing for names. And so I didn't describe how the kids got the prizes. So the way it works is if a kid met their accelerated reader goals, they get a ticket, and that ticket goes in a bucket. If they get more, they hit it again, they get more tickets, more tickets. We've had kids had over 30 tickets in the bucket. That's how much they read this year. When we were delivering the bikes, Prairie Elementary, the kids were outside playing. They were yelling and screaming because they knew the bikes were coming. I think at Broadmoor, we heard stories of an elementary kid was out reading his high school siblings. They were really, really getting into it. And I got tons of stories that we were getting. The librarians and the principals were amazing in helping us promote this program. The librarians, one school, S.J. Montgomery, they got on it. As soon as we gave them the bikes, they got on it and was riding around the parking lot doing TikToks. It was amazing. So this is what the drawing would look like. We had the 4 scooters. You can see the background, all the bikes, the helmets. Every bike had a helmet, and the bags. And then we did the drawings. And so we pulled the names on Zoom. We couldn't see the kids, but they can see us. But I can tell you, when you drew a name, you can hear the roar from outside. The kids were so excited. So this is several schools. So we hit every one of them. Over 2.5 weeks, we hit every one of the 24 elementary schools in the parish. Even the librarians were incredibly excited about it all. So she gave us a little test ride after the drawing. This is at Myrtle Place. That's Myrtle Place. Yeah. I don't know if that's the principal or the librarian. I remember. That's the principal. I'm sorry. I've met so many people in the last few weeks, I can't keep track of it all. We also got a lot of good press. If you might have seen us on TV. But when I was getting ready and doing the Google search after Ms. Morrison asked me to do this, I found that we actually made news internationally. So we've got news all over the country. Omaha, Nebraska ran a story on what we did. Even Kiwanis International. So internationally, we're now been recognized for what we did in the school system. So let's get to the meat and the potatoes of it all. This is actually y'all's slide, the school system slide put together for me. So obviously it's a COVID year. It's a little different year than any other year, so we can't compare it to previous years. Because this year kids cannot go into a library and pull a book out like they'd want. The librarians will walk around the cart and try to predict which books the kids want to read. So we can't really compare. So this is the fall semester. AR reading tests were 140,508. So this was before we had made the announcement. We started at Christmas time. So there was no incentive at this point. The second semester, 222,440 AR tests. Now I've been told by the library specialist that this doesn't happen. It's usually steady. And the only thing that changed was this program. And so they attribute a 58% increase in AR tests this year. We're excited. So what's next? If y'all have us, we'll do it again. We want to do it bigger next year, or this coming year. We're already looking to purchase bikes. We're going to go to Academy this year. So last year, I tried to make a bulk order Academy, and I made it on February 11th. Unfortunately, February 12th, there was a snowstorm that shut down everything in Houston, so all my bikes were gone. So this year, we're going to order, and we'll hopefully get all the bikes in time. So what we need, we're looking for sponsors, everybody in the community that can help us buy the bikes. We need donations to buy the bikes and buy the scooters. Also the in-kind type stuff, you know, the gift card to play a game at a certain amusement facility in town, a free shake with a purchase, I mean, whatever. Anything we can give. You got thousands of kids now are hitting these goals, and we want to get every kid that hits a goal something. We don't want to just give it, you know, we gave out 240 prizes. I want to give thousands of prizes this year. So we need the community to step up. Wish I'd have put my website on this, but it's LafayetteKiwanis.org. You can actually email us at rewardsforreading at LafayetteKiwanis.org, or Ms. Mary knows how to get in touch with me too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. A couple special thanks, obviously, school system. These two individuals, Catherine and Randy, they were absolutely amazing. I'll tell you, when I told the Metairie guys what I had here, they were incredibly jealous, because what I have in these two individuals and what they did to help us through was great. Really, really helped us out a lot. All the principals, the librarians, I can tell you, every member that delivered a bike had nothing but great things to say about everybody we encountered. It's been really great. And then our two big sponsors were Home Bank and Postlethwaite and Netterville. They really gave us a pretty good donations to help get this done. So, tried to be quick. That's what I got. Any questions or any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Barod. This was awesome. Thank you for what you do, and it's just another testament of what we're trying to do to move our school systems forward, and our community partners like yourself is going to help us do it, and you're a big part of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another hand. Yeah, anybody? Okay. All right, next we have 2.3. We have a presentation of vaccine clinics. Recently, we partnered with Ochsner Lafayette General to introduce vaccines at our summer feeding program, and we have Ms. Karen Weibel. She's the Vice President of Rural Areas and Workforce Development at Ochsner Lafayette General. Ms. Karen?
Good evening, Superintendent Trosclair, Madam President Morrison, and board members. Thank you for having me tonight. I'll be brief, but I wanted to take some time personally to come by and say thank you. Superintendent Trosclair, you, madam, for your commitment to safety of these children should be applauded, because without your support, we could not have vaccinated 87 of our students and families through the summer program. That's tremendous. I heard tonight some great presentations about investment in our children and investing in the future of our children to be able to get into a workforce. And I will tell you that part of that is investing in their health. We want them in the schools this fall. We want them safe. We want them healthy. And the only way to do that is through these vaccines. The vaccination efficacy is about 90% with this new variant called the Delta. It will be hot by August. By August it'll be hot. It's growing every 7 to 10 days, double fold, so it's the new variant out there. The only way to stop these variants from producing and mutating is through a vaccine. And so I want to thank you for taking that step, Madam President Morrison, Marie Collins with the Acadiana Family Tree, and Superintendent Trosclair, I thank you. No doubt this will be an A pathway for the school system and will keep our children safe. So we're here to help support you. If you have any other type of events, please don't hesitate, give me a call. Thank you again so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Weibel.
Thank you.
No comments, but I'll say this, Ms. Weibel and I worked together at Lafayette General many years ago. We worked side by side, and it was always a pleasure to work with her, and still today, it's a pleasure. Thanks again. Let's see, so the next item is 2.4, review of the 2010 Master Facilities Plan and updates of related capital projects that are in progress / completed. Did you put that on, Mr. Stashaw? Doctor? And that would be Mr. Borderlaw, or who?
Good evening, members of the board. Kyle Bardlawn, Director of Planning and Facilities. At the request of board member, we worked with Mr. Guidry to put together information to try to compare what was suggested in the 2010 master plan and compared side by side with projects that have been completed over approximately the same length of time since the master plan was created. Mr. Guidry's records only go back to 2013. So we've gone back as far as we could in the computer files, and we've put together that comparison which we presented in the packet.
Any comments? Questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to, oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Satchel.
Could someone speak to the phase 1 scheduled slated additions, renovations, and full replacements? I'm just trying to see where we're at in phase 1 when it comes to where a north side addition or renovation and or J.W. Falk and Truman, where would they fall in what's been completed thus far? So basically, in section 5 and section 7, Billy, the phase 1 slated schools to be renovated, full replacements, or new schools, what's been completed thus far out of those 14 schools?
Out of all of the schools in that phase?
Yeah, just the 14 that were slated for phase 1.
So phase 1, Lafayette High replacement, I'll just go down the list of the attachment. That one is in, RFQ's currently out for the architectural firm selection. LJ Alamo, we have constructed a new cafetorium and a wing addition. It's my understanding that the positioning of those new buildings are such that if and when the funds become available, they can be incorporated into the footprint of a replacement. GT Linden, in lieu of replacement, there was permanent construction to replace all of the portable buildings on that site, as well as cafeteria renovations, covered playground improvements, HVAC chiller repairs, with the classroom wing addition being the main project. We're almost $10 million worth of work done there. Northside High, again, a replacement there. At this point, we have a little over $5 million set aside in pay-as-you-go in the self-funded construction fund. J.W. Falk, it says replacement, and I believe it's partial replacement, but by partial, in looking at the footprint, yeah, I think it was all but one building. So for the although not a full replacement, for all intents and purposes, it pretty much is. At that school, there's only been deferred maintenance and selective maintenance taken care of. Replacement sewer, upgrade plumbing fixtures, covered play area, driveway repair. I will say that the student population has been reduced by transferring some of the students to the newly renovated Barranco School. Catherine Drexel replacement, in lieu of a replacement, or I guess it's just in how you look at it. BO Elementary was constructed, which is a new school, and a decision was made because of the growth in that area to keep Catherine Drexel and to build a wing addition. So that's what's been done there. Karen Crow Heights is currently design in progress. It's been assigned to an architect. Properties purchased. So that project is underway. And I believe that addresses phase 1.
Okay. What does the what does the CCT stand for the that acronym seems to befuddle me. For the new high school, what does the CCT stand for?
That's just Career Tech High School.
Okay.
College and Career Tech High School.
College and Career Tech.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got you. Okay. The reason I requested this information item was just to start the discussional talks of the support for a new Northside or J.W. Falk or Truman. I went to Billy a few months ago just asking about where the CSRS, where in the CSRS plan. I remember seeing Northside and was really excited about it. Obviously, those taxes didn't pass that we had so hoped for. But in looking at what was slated for phase 1, additions, renovations, and complete new schools, it looks like, and please correct me if I'm saying it wrong or saying anything incorrect, it looks like the new Como Auditorium has been completed. I don't know if Southside would qualify as that new high school, but I know Southside still managed to jump in front of everybody else, but we understand why there was an exploding population in that area. Lafayette High is gonna soon start and be in progress. LJ Alamont, they got the wing additions. GT Linden got the wing additions. Northside, nothing new. JW Falk, nothing new. Drexel, nothing new. Drexel got the wing additions, okay. All right, so Drexel got the wing addition. Karen Crow Heights is in progress. Boucher got the additions. Broadmoor got the additions. Evangeline got the additions. Ridge got the additions. And Scott, what's the difference between a cafeteria and a cafetorium? Same
I believe the stage area.
Stage area. Gotcha. Okay. So it looks like out of those 14 schools in phase 1, looks like there's just 3 left. Okay. That's the information that I was looking for, and as well, just wanted to verbalize it out loud. I'm gonna hopefully put some type of item together. I think as opposed to us hoping and deciding hoping which schools go next are slated for new additions or renovations, and even leaving it to chance. I would like to hopefully set some type of priority list that we can hopefully follow, abide by. We know with what's slated to occur already, funds are gonna be hard to come by, but as we can chip away here and there and pay a few bills, I'm gonna try and put an agenda item for the board to take a look at. Just that, and obviously everybody's input comes with high regard, but just to set some type of priority list, because it looks like for phase 4, if there were 14 wants and needs, well, they determined those as needs, not wants. Looks like we've met 11 of them, and there's 3 left. And looks like Northside, Falk, and Drexel, and then as well with Mr. Broussard requesting Truman. If we could take a look at it, I'd appreciate it. That's it.
Okay, our next information item is monthly facilities updates. Mr. Bordelon.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The monthly construction updates are included in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those at this time.
Madam President, can I ask something?
Yes, ma'am.
Kyle, it's not on the list, but I want to make sure to mention it. I guess I don't know if it's the bus waiting area or the car. I think it's the car riding waiting area at Drexel. Originally was done, I think, through the generosity of a community partner. But when I went to go visit the other day, the benches are not safe. Half of them are falling off, and there's nails sticking up and stuff. So can we add that to a list item before the school year starts that we take care? It's just wooden planks over metal structure, but it all needs to be replaced in order for the kids to be able to have a safe place to sit and wait in an enclosed fence area while they wait for, I believe it's the car rider line. So just if you could add that to your list, I would appreciate it.
I'll check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Hanson?
Mr. Bordelon, can you give me an update on when the portable buildings, well, the whole process with removing the portable buildings, if they're being demolished or if they're being bid out, and also specifically for District 8 for Woodvale, Broadmoor, and Alamo?
Yes, ma'am. The package 1 portables are being demolished at this time. The contractor is finishing up at Ridge right now. He's supposed to be moving over to Drexel next, and I believe Woodvale will be right after that. The package 2 portables are out for quotes right now. The quotes should be back in a couple of weeks, and I'll be bringing that to the board at the next board meeting for approval.
Do you have an approximate timeline for?
We're asking the contractor to be completed within 60 days. And most of that is weather dependent. And so we are communicating with that contractor every day and pushing on them as hard as they can, advising them it's in their best interest to be completed before school gets started, because once the kids start coming on, it's going to bring in a whole level of complexity to his work. So we're pushing them as hard as we can.
So there's only one contractor doing all of the work, is that correct?
There's one contractor working on package 1. Package 2 is out for quotes right now.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Angel?
Thank you, Madam President. About a month ago, this board selected a couple of architects for 2 of the schools. And they've yet to receive a contract. Can you tell me what the status of the contract is? I mean, is it?
I'm meeting with architects and engineers right now. I've met with 2 of them today. I'll be generating those contracts, and I've got a whole long list of them to meet with and generate contracts. So as I meet with them, I'll be generating those contracts for them.
Dr. Aguilar?
Mr. Bordelon, I'm looking at the photographs for the Burke Elementary Drive, and it looks to me like it says the work is complete. Looks like a shell driveway or a limestone driveway. Is that what
Sir.
we were planning to do?
Yes, sir, that was the plan.
Okay, I'm just curious. Is that the only shell driveway parent drop-off kind of thing we have in the parish?
No, sir, we have others.
Okay. Aside from Ernest Scollett, any others?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember the others, but we have a couple. We also have some that have been, they started out as limestone. They got asphalted in later years. But
it just strikes me that this is going to take some maintenance to maintain the shell driveway.
Well, yes, sir, but for the funding that was allocated, this is what we could afford, so
Okay.
trying to live within our budgets.
All right, thank you.
It gets the traffic off of 2 state highways
I know,
quicker.
but it's a shell driveway.
Right.
Mr. Centeni?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway, Ms.
Thank you,
LeBeau?
Mr. Centani. Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Bordelon, since we have a lot of our JROTC instructors here, I just want to ask, is that deadline of project completion date of November still on target for those buildings at Acadiana and Ovade Como High School?
I have not been told anything otherwise, so I will say yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Centani?
I was curious after Ms. Angel's question there, that you're talking about the architects we appointed for Carencro Heights and Prairie Elementary School. Is that correct? Does that, why did the contracts, you're the one that has to do the contracts for those, or no?
I thought you were talking about the smaller projects.
Okay, all
No-
right. all
No,
right.
sir, Mr. Centanni.
Then
Oh.
you're looking for Mr. Brew, I think,
Mr.
That's a
Angel.
Brew, that's a question for Mr. Brew.
Yeah.
And Mr. Angel, Mr. Bruce said that those contracts should be finalized, well, he said midweek this week, so I'll touch base with him, but he was finalizing those.
Okay, our next information item is item 2.7, feasibility of before and after care programs on all elementary school campuses. Ms. Gardner?
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. So attached was we did a assessment of every school in elementary school, the 25 elementary schools, traditional schools, and we have 11 programs that are currently in the morning, and we have 19 currently in the afternoon. We are requesting later on as a recommended action to increase the salary for our paraeducators. It's if it's generated as self-funded, it's school-based, it's a self-funded where the parents pay a fee, and we run a self-funded program. So it doesn't come from general fund or anything. And that way you're asking to increase that the paraprofessional or clerk or secretary be able to work at the same rate as a teacher. As Dr. Rabelais said earlier, we'll be offering a lot of tutoring after schools to catch the children up, and the teachers to be able to work in the morning and to be able to tutoring in the afternoon creates a long day. So we want to be able to open up the morning sessions to other employees at the equal pay. We would like to send a survey, will be sent to each school, to the parents, to determine the need at each school site.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Centanni?
I thank the superintendent and the staff for doing the legwork and figuring that out. I know this is going to be a real relief to a lot of parents at a lot of different campuses that either don't have any options or have afternoon options but not morning options. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, our pleasure.
Can I ask a question?
If you ask.
Thank you.
Ms. Hanson?
Thank you. Will the survey include the price for the school?
Yes,
program?
ma'am. We have an established price. It'll say if you could drop off how many days a week or your options, and we will give all that in the survey so the parents will know if it's feasible for them.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And I would like to say the survey will also go out to our employees to see what their needs are as well.
All right, before we move to our consent agenda, we're going to pull item 3.30. Okay. We are going to remove item 3.30. Okay, so I'm going to read each agenda item if you would like to. Sure, go ahead, Mr. Angel.
Before we get to business, 7:10, and we have yet to conduct business, I'm just going to make a suggestion that in the future, the first thing that we take care of at these meetings is the business at hand. And then, after the business is conducted, we can have these informational items. And just a suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, I would read each item. If you wish to pull an item, you may do so. Items not pulled will be voted on in globo. First item is item 3.1, discussion and or action concerning revisions of Appendix A, Schedule of Fees for Policy JS, Student Fees, Fines, and Charges. 3.2, discussion and or action concerning approval of land appraisal, North Lafayette. 3.3, discussion on our action concerning Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, JROTC positions, job description, and related general fund budget revisions.
Pull that, please.
3.4, discussion and our action concerning bid award 12-22 kitchen equipment. 3.5, discussion on our action concerning 2 new positions and job descriptions, early childhood data and enrollment coordinator, and early childhood community outreach coordinator.
Pull that, please.
Three point six, discussion and or action concerning salary reclassification and related job description revision for receptionist central office. 3.7, discussion and or action concerning a revised bus attendant job description. 3.8, discussion or action concerning an athletic trainer, CTTIE, teacher job description. 3.9, discussion or action concerning 2021-2022 salary schedule. 3.10, discussion and or action concerning budget revisions for a Secretary 2 position in the Expansion and Development Department. 3.11, discussion and or action concerning the Supervisor of Information Technology job description. 3.12, discussion and or action concerning budget revision for staffing and overtime wages. 3.13, discussion and or action concerning the new Accountant 2 Federal Accounting Clerk to Federal and Purchasing Coordinator. 3.14, discussion and or action concerning awarding the Acadiana High Fieldhouse project and budget revisions for funding. Same. 3.15, discussion or action concerning approval of bids for floor mats. 3.16, discussion or action concerning awarding the Acadiana High track and soccer storage building project and budget revisions for funding. Same. 3.17, discussion and or action concerning the sales tax collection report for May 2021. Item 3.18, discussion and or action concerning budget to actual reports for June 2021. 3.19, discussion and or action concerning the grant fund summary for June 2021. 3.20, discussion and or action concerning the renewal of a contract of lease for Section 16 property. 3.21, discussion or action concerning bid award, band uniforms, bid number 03-22. Item 3.22, discussion or action concerning bid award, P gravel bid number 09-22. 3.23, discussion and or action concerning bid award for bid number 01-22 calculators. 3.24, discussion and or action concerning bid award, duplicator, ink, and master's bid. 3.25, discussion or action concerning bid award, homeless department school uniforms bid number 11-22. Item 3.26, discussion or action concerning bid award number 610 limestone bid number 03-22. Item 3.27, discussion or action concerning approval of bid award for sports medical supplies bid number 03-22. Item 3.28, discussion or action concerning approval of bid award early childhood educational supplies bid number 10-22. Item 3.29, discussion or action concerning approval of bid award nursing supplies latex free products bid number 04-22. Item 3.31, discussion and or action concerning policy IFD, parent and family engagement. Item 3.32, discussion or action concerning policy GBC, recruitment of personnel. Item 3.33, discussion or action concerning online auction of surplus equipment and supplies. Item 3.34, discussion or action concerning the minutes of June 2nd, 2021. I would like to entertain a motion
Madam
for
President,
all items not pulled.
may you also please pull number 9 for me?
No.
Pretty please.
Okay, I'm
Thank
going
you.
to pull number 9 and be Mr. Centani. Okay, so all items not pulled, I would like to entertain a motion.
I move that we approve all items not pulled.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Santani and a second by Mr. Lachele. Do I have any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Mr. Lachele?
I'd just like to make a comment on a couple of the items I have to let the board know what is gonna take place, or the direction we'd like to head. As we move forward with projects, it looks like inflation is gonna hit us and hit us hard, between 10 to 20, 25%. Some plans we have with our athletic facility at Acadiana is some things we've talked about with architects that we're gonna try to implement, that Mr. Touchette will be working with the superintendent on, is valued engineering and attempting to utilize our tax exempt status through the contracts, which can save us money. I encourage we do this. Some of this I think we haven't done in the past, but we're gonna look to do in the future. And I'd also like for you to look at the agenda item for the soccer track building and see the difference in the bids and how much money we've saved. We have a new individual who's bidding Bergeron Metal Buildings. He came in $20,000 cheaper than anyone else, and it's gonna be a great asset. So I think on that note, the more people we get involved and quit using the same people over and over and over, Mr. Bergeron is gonna shake up this system, and he assures me that he's gonna be fine with the number that he did. So I think that some of the contractors we've been using need to really take notice. Mr. Bergeron can do it, you can do it too. So we're gonna look at saving some money on the athletic facility at Acadiana. Hopefully we won't need what was asked for. And I think with the architects we've chosen, they have a plan, and we'll move forward. But I just kind of wanted to be transparent with all of you on that inflation is gonna get our projects, you know, unless things start going down. So I appreciate y'all's support on this. Thank you.
Any other board comment? Who was first? Dr. Sasha?
If you don't mind, he let me go for it first, Miss President. One issue I just wanted to point out, I don't know if we've done a feasibility study on the lease we have on the Section 16 lands, but it's concerning to me that we, you know, I don't know if we should look at whether or not there's a way for us to generate more income from the property we have, but I'll just defer that to another time. And also the cancellation language is a little bit concerning because it is a sugarcane lease, and for us to say that we could cancel immediately effective at any time kind of concerns me. It puts the lessee in a perilous position. It also puts us in a position that I don't think we want to be in. So just maybe when we work that contract next time, we put in a better provision that protects the lessee as well as us should we need to cancel the contract. And then my other comment would be under 3.25, the homeless uniform grant. I think it's amazing, and if you've ever had to bring a homeless family to that closet to allow their children to get new uniforms and new supplies, they provide everything from belts to shoes to clothes. It is backpacks, the entire supplies. It really. You don't understand how much this is needed for a child until you really have to bring a child there to get that. So I just wanted to thank the board for really making that a priority, and just reach out to our community if anybody's interested in partnering with that, our program. I think the head of the homeless and transition department was recognized as social worker of the year last year. We have an outstanding program that tries to make those kids fit into the schools with as little, so that they transition into that school with everything they need, but also that they don't stand out from anybody else. So just want to commend the department and thank y'all for approving that grant.
Dr. Sasha?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Board President. I want to make sure everyone is aware. I want to read the public comment for my item 3.2. It's an appraisal of land needed for taking the first step in the process of acquiring property as the site for a future construction of an athletic sports complex that can service multiple high schools in our school district. There's a piece of land that has now become available. It is a half-mile from I-10. The corridor of I-10 and I-49, it's a half-mile and 2 miles apart respectively. And I'd like to look at the first steps, which according to Kyle, Matt, and Billy would be, Matt and Billy would be approval of appraisal of the land to see if it's even feasible for us to acquire it. This would be able to be used by multiple schools in our district, and as well would hopefully serve as a site based upon my understanding, and I don't want this to catch anybody off guard. I don't see the rebuilding of football stadiums and sports complexes at new high schools going forward, and that's just my understanding. So just to start the process of looking at the possible purchase of land so we can have one all-inclusive sports complex that could service the various high schools that aren't going to have future rebuilds of football stadiums.
Okay, any additional comments from the board? Miss, okay, all right, well, hearing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote.
And Dr. Shashon, it's not just the football fields that we're looking at. The multi-purpose center is going to serve much more than a football field. The complex itself, I think that the building we're looking at is going to be big enough to house big-time basketball tournaments and volleyball tournaments. Is going to be the center of attraction in and perhaps a 9-hole golf course. So it's going to be much more than a football field facilities.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, I'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Okay, motion carries. First item pull is item 3.3. Discussion or action concerning Junior Reserve Officer Training Corp, is JROTC, positions, job description, and related general fund budget revisions. Ms. LeBeau, you pulled that?
Yeah, Madam President, I would like to make a motion that the board approve the proposed JROTC instructor job description as attached, and add the position of JROTC instructor to the 202-day teacher pay scale, and that there be a general fund budget revision in the amount of $14,961.35 to cover the increase in salary and benefits.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. LeBeau and a second by Mr. Lachele. Do we have any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? What you got?
I have a statement from the former esteemed board member, Mr. Eric Kniezek, who I will say was spearheading this movement while he was still on the board. And I was grateful that he brought it to my attention, knowing what a great program we have at Oviedo High School, and I'm sure Mr. Lachele will agree at Acadiana High School. So if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me to read Mr. Kniezek's statement.
Absolutely.
Dear Board, I respectfully request that you consider my comments to vote in favor of this motion to put the JROTC instructors on the teacher pay scale. 6 years ago, both of our JROTC programs were in dire straits and struggling with enrollment at or below minimum standards. The board recognized this, investing in making both programs schools of choice, increase and enforce military standards, and put each program at the forefront of board meeting color ceremonies to honor our country. We also invested millions to establish new, modern, and permanent facilities, support and promote each program at Como and Acadiana High School. Attracting and retaining the most qualified JROTC instructors are critical to continuing to improve these programs. Our existing pay policy is precedent for this exact consideration, but refers to an outdated LARS 17423. That's Louisiana Revised Statute. The policy states experience for teachers who have served on active duty in the United States Armed Forces shall be granted in accordance with, that statute. This statute provides for providing for World War II or the Korean or Vietnam conflicts shall receive credit under the minimum salary schedule. Obviously, the intent of this dated statute should continue for those veterans of this modern era, including the Cold War and wars on terror. We are graduating future warriors and leaders of our country, both for future military service, but more importantly, citizenship. As Lafayette School Board led the state in financial transparency, we too should lead the way here. Your former colleague and biggest fan, Eric Kniezek. So I just want to say I've met with the instructors and Mr. Kniezek, and I have to say that their passion for the program and increasing it in coordination with the construction of these new facilities is really going to bring so much value to our schools and our community at large in the future. So I just would request that you vote in favor of it. These instructors are teaching in military science, and I think that their entire service in the military should be counted towards their credential and their place on the pay scale, because they are instructing in what they have benefited from learning in the military. As several of our board members have served and can tell you that what they learn there is invaluable, and it enhances not only their teaching ability but their impact on our community. So thank you for your support.
Any other comments? Okay, we had comments from the public, the board, so seeing no other comments, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Eight for, one abstain.
Okay, motion carries. Next item pull is item 3.5, and the motion is that the board approves the two proposed job descriptions for the two new positions of early childhood data and enrollment coordinator and early childhood community outreach coordinator as shown in the documents attached. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Angel, second by Mrs. Centeni. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board?
Madam President, I pull that item not to vote against it, but just to get some information from Ms. Dewitt. Would you please?
Sure.
Ms. Dewey, for the last couple of weeks, I've been meeting with people, the WOW, let me say that correct, the WOW women, and some administrators, along with a group of other people. And if I'm reading this correct, early childhood data enrollment coordinator and community outreach coordinator, I would like to support this in what is described to be. We have got a communication problem, especially in my district. Dr. Robley gave an excellent presentation about goals for an A district, and it is impossible for us to reach that if schools in District 3 and 4 is not meeting the challenges that's needed. So am I understanding that the coordinator that we are going to be looking to hire is not someone sitting in the office scribbling on a pad and answering the phone? Somebody's gonna go into the more challenging areas of the community as an outreach program to let the public know all the availabilities we have as far as students from age 1 to 5 and where do they go. And we need to do what we need to do to get our kids in school. We can no longer have them entering kindergarten trying to learn to read. They've got to, nowadays, they gotta be in school already knowing to read. So I'm asking, and I'm saying, if we are gonna support this new addition to your office, and it's not what it sell out to be, I'll be the first one to strike it off next year's budget. We need someone who's gonna go in the community in District 3 and 4 and sell what we are giving away. So that's what I'm asking. What is the role of this
So there are
coordinator?
Yes, so there are two different coordinator roles, and both of them have to do with birth to 3 seats with the branch of the Early Childhood Department, which is our lead agency. And both of them are grant funded through the Department of Education, so it actually won't cost the district anything. The first one, last year the State Department gave the lead agency 60 seats for birth to 3. What those seats mean, what that means is that we actually recruit the families, find them the child care, and then if they apply and they qualify, the funding source flows through my department and we pay the child care center for that child's seat. We had 60 seats last year. Those seats numbers are based on child care centers out there, type 3 learning centers who actually have available seats in their center, and we filled all 60 seats last year that we were allotted. This year we're going to be allotted 242 seats, which you can imagine the quantity and necessity to have one person to oversee that. And so that person will be getting the applications, filtering the applications, working with the child care centers. Along with filling those seats, we're also required to keep up with those and make sure that that's quality learning environment. So it'll be spending some time in those centers, in the classrooms of every classroom on those campuses, because we never know which classroom's gonna have a vacancy. So it's not saying this center has a vacancy in this classroom, so we're only gonna focus on that classroom. We'll have to focus on all of their birth to 3 classroom seats. The community outreach person, which is the second one, the state gave us that money because if you read in some of the superintendent's literature, they're talking about seeing actually where the needs are and having some database decisions being made. So in that position, that person is gonna go out, collect some data, the needs of the district, and based on that data we collected over the next 2 to 4 years, we could be eligible to up to $500,000 a year in order to meet more needs. Right now, our request of our 260, which we asked for, was based on our you don't only have to be a type 3 early learning center, but you have to be at a certain level of that score report card in order to be eligible. So right now, one person's gonna do the data analysis, going out in the community, seeing what the needs are. That data's gonna be reported to the state. The state's gonna take that information from each district and determine how much money we would be awarded. So yes, they will be out in the community. We do also already have someone that works out in the community that helped get those 60 seats. But when you're talking about 200 and something seats, fulfilling those seats and going out and doing the research, both grants actually in the grants talked about creating positions with these names, with the funding for these positions in these grants. So this is that focus in your booklet. If you look, I know Dr. Rabelais alluded to it, our percentage of birth to 3 children being served in Lafayette is very minimal. And
that is
pre-K 4 is not a miracle 1 year catch-all. You know, we do a good job with those 4-year-olds, but some need better quality learning environments prior to coming to our pre-K program.
The data should show that certain sector of town we're not reaching a certain sector of our community. That's what their data show. It's been showing that for quite some years. When school opens next month, whenever school opens, my 5th grade senior is going to have the 6th principal at Alice Boucher. In 6 years that he has been to school, he's got the 6th principal. That's it's devastating to a child. And everyone we've had, that's the one who's going to take us over. We working on number 6. So something is not in place for all of these challenges to come, you know, to certain schools. We have got to do something different. I don't know what it is. I'm not blaming you or anybody else. We don't know what it is, and we've got to find a handle on it. So if the person that we are looking at is going to go out in the community, and I'm not saying jump on your vehicle and go knock to every door. I don't know how, but it's a challenge, and I'm hoping that the people you put together along with the administration is going to meet that challenge, because what is happening in my community is unacceptable should be by not only me but everybody else as well. And we cannot achieve that E status if we are F schools.
And Mr. Broussard, I believe that we are, with the guidance of the state, funneling down to those specific needs. We started back piloting in 2012 when we were just trying to onboard early learning centers throughout the state to become a type 3 center where they're monitored by the state. Their teachers get the same class observation from either their administrator, someone on our staff, and the P-Card Center. So now we're focusing in now and saying, we need you to provide more seats. We need to make sure there's accessibility to all children whose parents want them to attend a high-quality learning environment. So we're getting to that point. You know, we started broad. Now we have those relationships with those centers. I'll tell you right now, we probably opened we get a notice every time a new center opens that's a type 3 early learning center, and probably this summer at least 6 more centers. So we were talking about that the other day with our Child Care Resource and Referral Agency, that 6 more facilities they're responsible for. And we were talking about at what point does the state step in and say, as your facilities grow, we'll also grow in your funding for that work. So we're threefold in the Department of Early Childhood, school system, lead agency, which is kind of both, and then our CCR&R, which is all of our early learning centers.
Ms. Dewey, do the learning centers provide transportations for the little ones where they'll go pick them up wherever? I wasn't sure if that was a challenge or not to get them to the center.
I don't know about that. They do not pick them up because there becomes a whole thing under the age of 4. They have to have the seat restraints, and it gets a little complicated. When we at one time offered pre-K 3 at J.W. Falk and Alice Boucher, we offered it without transportation. And those classes did fill up, but we couldn't transport them because of the transportation safety requirements.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Ms. LeBeau?
Is there any way that you could provide us how many centers they're going to be for I mean, this doesn't have to be until the fall, but you know, how many centers there are type 3 and how many students, just so we can get an idea of how many students are being assisted through the program?
Sure. We can get you the list of, we already know what how many type 3 centers we have, because we have to service all of them. And we already have the list. All the type 3 centers filled out a survey to see which ones were interested. So that's already been budgeted, and that's how we got the 263 seats.
And is the one at Northside, is that a type 3 center?
It's a type 3 center right now. It's currently being offered to any teen parent in the district, and it was offered to Northside faculty and staff, but we are looking into ways to expand that program there.
Okay. Thank you.
No other questions or comments? I'll call for the vote.
Eight for, none against.
Motion carries. The next item pulled is item 3.9, and the recommended action is that the board approve the 2021-2022 salary schedule as attached in the public comment section of this agenda item.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the 2021-2022 salary schedule.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Centeni and a second by Mr. Angel. Do you have any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Mr. Centani.
Board members, I would like to point out to you that page 58 is a revision to the salary schedule, so I specifically said as not as attached on the agenda item. So there is a small revision to the bus driver's pay scale, pay grade 01 at your desk. Specifically steps 32 through 50, which appeared not to exist or be a slightly lower value as attached to the agenda item.
Okay. Seeing no other board comment, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. That's it. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Eight for, none against.
Okay. Motion carries. That was the last agenda item, so I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.